Hey guys, how's it going? Alex Scott here with Higher Hertz. Thanks so much for checking out another one of our super cool studio gear review videos. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at PreSonus Sphere, which is PreSonus's subscription-based access service. Now, Sphere comes with a ton of really cool stuff, and that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you guys in this video. Now, Sphere came out last year, 2020, right around the middle of the year. I think early July is when they initially released it. And before that, in order to get PreSonus's software, you really just had to pay for it, and that's what I originally did with Studio One back in Studio One version 3, was you paid, I think it was $400, $399, somewhere around there, and you would just get a license, kind of like any other piece of software. Well, now they've kind of moved with the times, so to speak, and gone the subscription route with PreSonus Sphere. Now, again, I know it came out about 6 months ago, but I'm making this video now because I really wanted time to not only get to know Studio One 5, but to really use everything that it comes with, because it comes with a lot. And I think it's easy for people to look at a package like Sphere or a subscription service like Sphere and say, oh, okay, well, I'm paying whatever, $15 a month, which $14.95 is the monthly cost of Sphere. And what am I getting for that? I'm getting Studio One 5. You know, it's just like if I subscribe to Pro Tools or any of the other DAWs. But that is selling Sphere seriously short. And I think it's an amazing solution that comes with so much cool and useful stuff for a lot of different music professionals and kind of, hobbyists or amateurs alike. So what we're going to do is just real quick in this video, we're not really going to listen to any sounds or anything because it comes with a ton of different stuff, but we're going to go through the Sphere website. And then I'm also going to show you how some of the Sphere features are implemented in Studio One, because again, it's not just the software, and it's not even just, the DAW software, Studio One, and then some add-on plugins or anything like that. It really is an incredibly full-featured suite with a lot of really cool workflow things and some really cool kind of cloud-based stuff. So let's go ahead and dive in here. When you subscribe to Sphere, this is my PreSonus account that I'm logged into here, and this is kind of the landing page, the home page for the PreSonus Sphere. We'll call it an ecosystem. So this is just the landing page, and up here at the top you can see we have 4 different tabs. We have Workspaces, we have Products, we have Exchange, and we have Learn. So now, working from left to right, Workspaces is the first thing that we come to. And quick disclaimer, I don't personally use this feature a ton because I use Dropbox to manage this kind of stuff because I work with a lot of clients in a lot of different systems. But Workspaces is essentially a file sharing and collaboration kind of platform, and it's pretty simple. It really just allows you to message collaborators and share files directly with people, add comments to those files, simple things like that. But I think in the future, this Workspaces feature is going to be kind of blown out and expanded to be a little bit more integrated with things. But it's a great starting place. If you have other people that who use PreSonus Sphere, who use Studio One, they're part of this kind of PreSonus ecosystem, and you'd need to share files with them, share projects with them. This would be a really easy and convenient way to do that. Moving on from there, this is really where it starts to get fun. This is the Products tab, and this is where you're going to manage all things PreSonus that you own and use, including hardware. So the main page here, we can see products, software. This is all the actual applications that you use, and I have a bunch here, obviously, because I use Studio One 4, I use Studio One 3 clear back years ago. I have copies of Artist, I've got copies of Prime, but the main thing here is Studio One 5 Professional. This is the actual license that I have for the latest version of Studio One, and this is what will come with your PreSonus Sphere if you do choose to sign up. But you also get Notion. Now, Notion is an incredibly powerful piece of scoring software, of notation software. So if you do anything in the classical or scoring world, if you do work with film or TV, if you do work with orchestral music or symphonic music, Notion is going to be a phenomenal solution for writing those scores, managing those scores. And it also comes with tons and tons of really great sound sets. So whether you're doing, again, orchestral or symphonic stuff, film stuff, or even into like jazz, kind of big band swing, scoring themes for TV or film or anything like that, it's got all those sounds built in with that. We'll see more of that in just a second when we get over to this add-ons tab. But you aren't just getting Studio One 5. You're also getting Notion version 6, which is Notion's a very big, full-featured, expensive program in its own right. It's not just some little add-on or something like that. It is really an incredible piece of scoring software. So really, really nice add there. Now moving over, we have our hardware tab. I personally, again, I own the Studio Live 32S and the Atom SQ controller. We're going to be doing a review of both of these here on the channel in the coming months. So both great products. Definitely love them, use them all the time, but this is where you can manage your registration for those. But now this is really where PreSonus Sphere gets really, really amazing, and I think it's one of the best solutions around for people who are just looking for an all-inclusive package to get started with music production, whether you're a seasoned pro like myself, somebody who's brand new to everything and really just getting into it. Because what you get with PreSonus Sphere is not just Studio One, is not just Notion. You get almost every expansion and every additional plugin that PreSonus has ever made for Studio One and for Notion. So you can see as I'm scrolling through all this stuff, well, mostly all this stuff. The only things that aren't included is with this Fat Channel XT and these channel strips right here and CTC1. This stuff I did buy separately on my own, so ignore those. But other than that, everything else you see here comes with Sphere. So starting at the top, these are sound sets. These are expansion packs for Studio One Professional. So these are going to be loops, construction kits, one-shots, samples, all that kind of stuff. And you have tons and tons and tons of options. Everything from acoustic drum loops. Gold Baby Essentials collection is great. It's all like 808, 909 vintage drum machines from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s. It's an amazing sample library of those. Every style of hip hop and trap and EDM that you could possibly think of, and even some other kind of non-electronic stuff. You know, we have acoustic guitar, PreSonus Studio Grand. This is all expansion content that used to cost, you know, $10, $15, $20, $25 a pop. You're getting it all with PreSonus Sphere. Very, very cool, and it makes it an incredibly useful subscription for, again, people, you know, whether you do a ton of work in audio like me, or I'm thinking more for people who are new to audio production and don't have tons of instruments, don't have tons of plugins. You're looking for something that comes with stuff that you're going to be able to get creating, you know, and start making your tracks right out of the box. This is all perfect for that. Moving on, we have some expanded plugin stuff here. A few of these may have also come with my Studio Live 32S console, but there's definitely some stuff in here as well. I know this, the PreSonus channel strip collection and Ampire all comes with PreSonus Sphere. So very, very cool stuff there again. And Studio One already comes with some really great effects and mixing plugins built into it, but there's just a few additional options there. And then we get down here to other, these are all going to be sound banks for Notion. So again, like I mentioned, if you're doing film scoring, classical scoring, scoring for jazz, we've got jazz brass with mutes, mandolin, oboe d'amore, oboe duo, percussion, piccolo, trumpet, classical guitar. These are all going to be sound fonts or sound sets that we use within Notion when we're creating our scores. So you're going to have basically any sound you could ever possibly want to work with, you're going to have in here. Another really cool thing that they include is the audio batch converter. This is a really, really useful utility tool if you need to, like, say you have a huge folder of MP3s that you need to turn into waves, or vice versa. Or maybe you're working on a video game and your client needs deliverables in OGG Vorbis format. You're going to be able to bounce everything down to wave and not have to worry about managing things on a file-by-file basis. You can start with a whole folder of WAV files, MP3s, whatever, batch convert those, add metadata on kind of a batch level. Very, very useful tool that I think a lot of people will miss that gets included there that I actually use pretty frequently. So very, very cool. You know, and as you guys can see, it's a ton of content. It is just a ton of content, which I love. So that's our products tab, all right? And that's pretty much everything. If you want to talk in terms of just what PreSonus Sphere actually comes with, in terms of usable content, this is where you're going to find all of that. Next, we have the Exchange tab, and this is where Sphere gets more into cloud-based stuff. And I think this is a really, really neat idea. So Exchange is really a sharing platform, a cloud-based sharing platform for Studio One and Notion users, other subscribers of PreSonus Sphere. And it allows you to upload all different kinds of bits and pieces and ideas and stuff from Studio One or from Notion into the cloud for other people to download and use. And it really can be anything, everything from like loops, samples, one-shots, to presets, channel strips, even like macros and kind of back-end, more software-based stuff where if you set up a macro or let's say you use a very particular software instrument, something like maybe Superior Drummer from TuneTrack or an orchestral library, and you set up all the key switches in a certain way within Studio One, you can upload that as kind of a preset file to Exchange. And so, Exchange, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think it's really cool for stuff like that, for people who use more specific pieces of hardware or kind of separate plugins, and they've done macro mapping, key switch mapping, keyboard mapping, and they want to share that with the PreSonus community so that other people, or, you can even do audio I/O, I/O configurations. So if you have like an antelope audio interface and you have a really cool I/O mapping set up, you can upload that to Exchange, and other people who may have the same thing can download that. It saves people time, basically. There are definitely some like grooves and more musical stuff in here, but it looks like the community has kind of geared it more towards this technical stuff. Key switches for particular plugins or libraries, macros for certain software functions, color schemes, stuff like that. Things that, you wouldn't normally think of being able to source. Again, maybe you have a MIDI controller or some kind of an unusual controller or something, and you go, well, I guess I'm just going to have to sit here and map it. Check Exchange if you're part of PreSonus Sphere, because somebody may have already done that mapping for you, and you can just download that preset or configuration file, fly it into your software, and get started using your piece of gear, maybe make a couple of tweaks for your own use case. But a very, very cool idea, and something I wish other DAW and software manufacturers would implement is this cloud-based kind of thing that specifically deals with those more technical aspects. So very, very cool. So now moving along, our final tab here is the Learn tab. And this is a really, really great resource for some kind of basic how-to videos working with the different pieces of software. So we have, exclusive live stream, hands-on with Atom SQ, which is their new kind of beat controller. Nashville Numbers Explained, kind of a music theory thing. Mixed templates from scratch, building a mixed template in Studio One. Writing for strings in Notion, a little 4-part series. So now it's a little, I wouldn't say concerning to me, but the fact that this has been out for 6 months, and what we can see here is I have all videos selected, and there's maybe 15, maybe 20. I would love to see more content here, because this is another place where we could have some really, really great resources for people who are new to coming into audio production. And they do have some partners with some different people, some other websites. But again, this exclusive video content, there's some great ideas in here, and I'm sure PreSonus is going to add more of this stuff as time goes on, and I would definitely encourage them to do so, because there's some really, really great stuff in here. Sound design with MyTie. MyTie is a synth plugin that's included in Studio One. Mastering 101, new feature video, that's to be expected. But it's a great resource for, if you want to know how to do some basic things, you could definitely take a peek in here. And again, I would encourage PreSonus to add more content to this as time goes on. So that is a great overview of PreSonus Sphere. Now, the last thing that I want to cover real quick is how some of this integrates with Studio One 5 once you actually have it installed. So once you actually download Studio One 5, you're going to be able to manage a lot of this from the Studio One Installations tab under your Studio One menu here. This is another really, really great thing in terms of the integration between the overall kind of Sphere ecosystem and the software itself, because we can come in here and you go under My Purchased Items, this little tab here, and this is where you're going to see a ton, pretty much all of your expansion packs, all of your extra plugins. That's where these are all going to show up, and you can literally just click. You can piecemeal and click anything you want, or you can just go install all and then just click install. It's going to download everything automatically in the background. It's going to install everything automatically in the background, do all the licenses, everything. And another quick note, we are going to do a separate video just on Studio One 5, talking about some of the new features and some of the things that have come out, specifically for Studio One 5.1, the bug fixes that they've done, all that kind of stuff. We're going to do that as a separate video. But another important thing to note is that if you aren't familiar, Studio One actually includes Melodyne, really, really amazing pitch correction and kind of editing manipulation software as an integrated part of it. So you are also getting a license to Melodyne Essential when you get Studio One 5 and indeed PreSonus Sphere. cool add-in there. But again, this is where you're going to install all this stuff, and you've got your different instruments, different loop libraries. It's all very easy to manage, and you can literally just click down this list, say install everything, hit one button, it's going to take care of all of it for you. I love that they have set it up that way. There's no downloading different files. There's no getting a separate download manager and having to pick and choose. It's all done from right within Studio One. And the last thing we're going to touch on, let me just make a new session here real quick, is that you can also, that Exchange, PreSonus Exchange that we were talking about, where you can find these different macros and stuff, that is accessible from within Studio One itself as well. So you're going to, F5 for you keyboard guys is going to open up your side pane here where you would normally browse your instruments and effects. You can go over to Cloud, and you're going to be able to access all of this stuff within Studio One. So again, if you're looking for really anything, grooves, patterns, more musical stuff, if you're looking for any of the things that we talked about, like macros, you can browse. You don't have to go to the website and then try to, import weird packages or anything. You can just do it all within Studio One. You can browse it, you can select it, and you can install it directly into Studio One from within the program itself. So very, very cool integration there. I wish that they could definitely incorporate Learn into this, that Learn tab where they've got all the tutorial videos. I think that would be really cool. Hopefully something they'll do in the future where you could access those tutorials and videos from within Studio One. That would be amazing. We'll see if they do it. I think that would be very, very cool. But again, this is all still a relatively new platform. It all was released July of last year. They're only on version 5.1 of Studio One as it stands now. So I think that the more time goes on, the more users learn about Sphere, subscribe to Sphere, get involved in it. We're going to see more of this stuff. We're going to see more tutorials show up in that Learn area. We're going to see more stuff showing up in the Exchange. We're going to see more kind of high-profile artists signing onto the whole thing. So I think there's a ton of potential here. But at the end of the day, just what it comes with on a base level is there's so much, and a lot of it is so useful. Almost all of it is so useful. There's really nothing in here where I'm like, who needs it? I personally don't use Notion a ton, but that's only because I don't work with that kind of music. I don't do a ton of orchestral scoring. The scoring that I do, I actually use Guitar Pro for, because I do a lot more, rock and pop and stuff like that, and it just makes a little bit more sense. Notion is still an amazing piece of software that a lot of people are going to get great use out of. I don't necessarily use all of the plugins and all the add-ons, but that's because I have Superior Drummer 3 from TuneTrack and Keyscape, and I've got all these libraries that I know and love. But again, more for people who are just coming into it, this is such a massive amount of content to be able to just start out of the gate, start creating right off the bat, not have to worry about other subscriptions and downloading things from a million sites and hunting for free plugins and free libraries. Don't need to do any of it. Just grab Sphere, get it installed, get everything that you want downloaded, and you can just start right away. And all that for $14.95 a month. I mean, it's $15. That's a couple of cups of coffee every month, and this is what you're getting access to. I just think it's great. So big props to the guys at PreSonus for designing this, setting it up, moving into this subscription model. I love my subscription models. I pay hundreds of dollars a month in subscriptions, but I prefer to do that instead of having to pay whatever, $15,000 something for all the plugins that I use. I very much prefer to do it subscription based. You can cancel whenever you need if you're not using something. You're never tempted to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on something just to try it out without being 100% sure that you're going to use it. I really like the subscription model, so I love that PreSonus has done that. Overall, I just think it's a killer solution for anybody, pros and amateurs alike. But what do you guys think about PreSonus Sphere? Does it sound interesting to you? Are you already subscribed? Do you use any of these features? What do you think of the included add-ons? Whatever your thoughts may be, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Always appreciate hearing from you. And again, my name is Alex Scott with Higher Hertz. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. Click that notification bell to be kept up to date with our new videos, and we will see you in the next one.